So, Jason, recently we've had a pair of episodes, one of which described the entities that are on the vanguard for PQC and PQC deployment. And the other one was what we predict or expect to be the laggards. So, let's zero in, let's zoom in on inside of the enterprise and what we expect there.
I think, Tim, that there's, when I was making the notes for this podcast, there was a surprising amount of success. I think that within the 2026 to 2030 timeframe, that's potential, and I think we could get there. But there are some things that will lag, and that's really what we're trying to identify. So,
Okay.
I think that a lot of enterprises are going to declare a form of victory when they have their web PKI, PQC certs
Right.
on their
moved over.
websites and load balancers,
For sure.
and things
Of
are
course they will.
rotating and managed
Yep.
and all that.
Yeah.
And I think that you could probably also say that, we talked about this in one of the vanguards, which is things like SSH. So if you're doing remote authentication to your cloud servers, people who, there's the possibility that people will be using the right PQC algorithms.
Yeah. I actually think SSH is very worrisome because keys can last forever. Keys can be undiscovered. It's in the hands of a lot of individuals who are making their own personal decisions. I think SSH is a worrisome area.
So what you're bringing up is what I'm so glad you did, because you notice how at the beginning I didn't qualify the successes in the enterprise by saying, did you do your cryptographic inventory? This list assumes you did.
Okay, fair enough. And did it correctly.
And
no Yahoo came along after you did your inventory and you maintained it correctly.
Because if you didn't do your cryptographic inventory, you have failed all of these.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right, continue.
But your point is very well made. Okay, Tim, let's address cryptographic inventory for a moment in terms of, I think, an organization that has done it, at least to some degree, will declare some success or a lot of success. For example, if an organization has implemented certificate lifecycle management and has listened to our episode about the 10 perpetrators of rogue certificates and has done discovery all over the place and has a cross-functional team together, a cryptographic center of excellence, maybe they don't have 100% of their certs. I don't think anybody should guarantee they have 100% anyway. But let's say you have, you got a handle on things and you're managing and you're not failing.
Okay.
My God, what a success that's going to feel like. And that's my only point, is the fact that it's going to feel good after you've done your public TLS certs in all the places you use them. You've done your cryptographic inventory. You actually have your developers by governance programs monitored about using post-quantum SSH. If you're doing just that, my God, what a win, right? Because that's not all the places you're using certs, mind you.
Correct.
This is the point I'm trying to make, is that those things alone are probably going to be like the successes in an enterprise. And those are doable things if you've done your work. And I don't think anybody's said it like that yet. That's what this podcast is about. So let's now start to get into the, oops, this doesn't feel as good. And even if you've done your inventory, now we're getting into the, even if you've done your inventory, even if you have CLM in place, you probably have legacy enterprise PKI.
Sure. Yeah.
You and I have done entire episodes on Microsoft Active Directory Certificate Services.
Yep.
What do you do?
Right. Now, Microsoft has made a public pronouncement that there will be PQC support, but I don't think there's a lot of visibility on when that comes, how that comes, what that looks like, what's the upgrade path.
That what I'm trying to point out here in this podcast is that's where this conversation that you and I have had now many times fits. Because I think it fits in this category of, even if you've done the work, has the vendor that has sold you that legacy technology,
Yeah.
are they offering you the true migration path that you
Right.
expect?
Yep.
Question mark. Okay, next, VPN. Such a ubiquitous technology overall. And, Microsoft, right, themselves offering, you kind of have to get away from VPN, and Entra with passkeys might be a better way of doing things, which is why one of our predictions today was about passkeys in the enterprise kind of colliding with other authentication mechanisms. And I think it's probably not a bad thing, but it's Microsoft kind of making that headway. However, I don't think all the VPN vendors or people who have legacy VPN systems are even going to be moving off of using a password, never mind going to certificates or PQC certificates. Therefore, I think, we could easily hit 2030 and have a whole lot of legacy VPN still running.
Sure.
You see it, I think, in your bones. So I think the next one is any kind of mutual TLS. Like, we can move on to just mutual TLS in general. Even if you had the full inventory of those systems, are you changing them all? Well, the answer is you should. But you and I were coming here on the UP Express this morning in from Pearson Airport, and you made a really good point. There's probably grocery store chains that have MTLS running all over the place, and they just don't have the motivation of a nation state after them to swap out those systems.
Right.
You made a good point.
They don't deem themselves to be high value targets in the short term.
Exactly.
Right.
So
in the longer term, when this is available to any script kiddie, and someone can come ransomware you or someone can come steal your money, then they'll be motivated. But in the early years, they may very well rationalize, I don't have a company-ending secret to protect.
Absolutely, Tim. So now let's talk about another ubiquitous technology, and that is SMIME, other places where supply chain signatures are used. Man, there's a whole richness to clients that consume that stuff. Are all those clients going to be ready 2030?
Yeah. And I think there's a more general point then, I don't know if you're getting to this, which is that it's not just a function about me upgrading my cryptography if the stuff that has to talk to it cannot.
PQC SMIME is going to be available to you.
Right.
Do the systems you run.
Yeah. If they're just going to gag and die and break on the crypto, then I can't use them. And so then this hits two categories. I'm sorry if you have these. One is unsupported, right? Unsupported software, something that vendor, I'm on an old version of whatever and it's unsupported and we didn't move up on time, or perhaps this whole product line has been discontinued, or perhaps that vendor's out of business, right? But we're just making do because we are, and this happens a lot. Or connected to that is homegrown, right? Well, we're going to have to do it ourselves. And that's hard, or we don't have the resources, or we don't have the skills in-house, or we don't have the source code.
So Tim, I expect that, Fortune X Bank will have solved this because they have to.
Right.
But Tony's, regional grocery store ain't going to solve this in time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a worry. And then connected to that, not quite the same, but along the same line, is not unsupported software, but laggard vendors.
Yeah.
So I've got a vendor and I'm on a current version of the software, but they're not giving me the patch I need. So I can't move forward,
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a lot of that.
right?
I think it's gonna be a lot of that.
Yeah.
So thank you for adding to the list. Those are critical. I completely agree with you. Like I've got 4 more.
Okay.
Let's just throw them out, Tim.
Okay.
Code signing and firmware.
Sure.
Like that's gonna lag, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just can't
If-
see that being right
Yeah.
up front.
Firmware in general is hard.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So you could that's why it falls into the category of you could have done it in your inventory. You know about it, but what the heck can you do
Right,
about it?
You know, of course, we're going to say IoT. You got the I word in there, right?
Okay, here's another one.
Yeah.
A surprise to a lot of people. Data at rest and archives. So encrypted data at rest. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. Those of you who are smart, AES 256 is not bound by, not vulnerable to
It's not
Shor's
vulnerable to
algorithm.
Shor's algorithm. It's Grover's algorithm. We're not too worried about Grover's. Okay.
Great.
Right.
How many of you have done your cryptographic inventory of the transport keys that move those symmetric keys around? It's probably RSA. Let's be honest.
So I break RSA to steal the key, and then I use the key to open the encrypted data at rest. Okay, sure.
I had a person from a very major company that's very important to this planet say to me, Jay, I don't understand what the problem is. Most of my stuff is protected by AES 256. And I simply said, fantastic. How do you get those keys to where they are? That was merely my question.
Yeah.
And I literally got a head slap from him going, shit, it's all RSA.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. And you don't need to steal the data in the blob if you can steal the key.
The whole thing unravels, boys.
Right. Then you have the key.
Because don't forget, we're now talking about shared secrets.
Yeah.
And if you possess the shared secret,
Yeah. You're in. That's it. You're done. Yeah.
everything
Fascinating.
unravels.
Very good point.
Number 9 on the list, adding yours as well, OT/IoT. I'm not even going to drone on it.
Yeah, knew that was coming. Yeah.
Number 10, totally different thing. It's a human thing.
Okay.
There will be organizations where this problem was simply chucked over to the IT department.
Yeah.
PQC is merely a cost center to be absorbed by an IT department.
Yeah.
C-levels don't care.
Yeah.
Board doesn't care.
Well, and this is kind of back to the grocery chain again.
Yeah.
To say, you know what? I just don't, I'm not feeling the risk.
Right.
Right. And this is where you and I could debate a little. We got in a little debate on this because I'll throw out something proactive. Under the right circumstances, I could contend that is valid thinking.
Yeah. And I won't even disagree with it, except that if you put on your diagonal thinking hat as an adversary,
Right.
you relish those underdog fallacies.
Right.
Because the underdog fallacy en masse is the thing. It's one of the reasons why people don't realize that their data has value. Their systems have value.
And to be clear, I'm not contending that these scenarios aren't targets. I'm contending that they're not today's targets, that you have more time because the adversary who is going to be able to use the leading adversary who's going to use a harvest and decrypt attack on you is not deeming all targets to be equally valuable, right?
Individually, no.
Right. And you could now there's a lot of ways you could be valuable that you don't realize you're valuable. Like you could be a supply chain attack, for instance, or you could be an ecosystem partner that becomes the way in to the valuable target.
Yep.
So you got to think more broadly. But the reason I use the grocery chain example is I kind of feel like it isn't those things, right? It's self-contained. It doesn't have like company ending secrets. It's more about steal the money or ransomware me, which aren't really harvesting decrypt threats. And so then you say, okay, that person still has to get PQC compliant or bad things are going to happen. But if that person isn't compliant on 2030, I'm not clear that bad things are going to happen.
My own here is a type of response to that.
Right.
And again, this comes under underdog fallacy thinking. Right?
Sure.
Bad guys love that kind of thought. Bad guys agree with every word you said, except for the fact that
Thank you, bad guys.
they love that kind of thinking, because what it allows them to do is to say, hey, you know what? My ability now to ransomware a grocery store chain, so in other words, flat out fraud, is so easy for an organization that is operational but insecure. That's just step one.
Right.
So there still is a fraud element to it. Number two, what happens if point of sale vendor X, of which there's a monoculture of that point of sale system? I shouldn't even probably be talking about this stuff, but I will anyway. What happens if that point of sale vendor says, but you have to put some security around this, otherwise my point of sale system is not secure? And Tony's grocery store chain goes, yeah, we're never going to do that. We're an underdog, therefore it's not a problem. Well, here is the problem. You could DDoS entire chunks of the economy.
Right. Yeah.
And a bad guy is going to find value in that.
Yeah. And then you as an individual actor, I'm a business and I'm just optimizing my P&L. If I'm an interesting target because I am part of some kind of aggregated attack, then I still lose money if I get DDoSed, or I still lose money if I get ransomwared. And so under those circumstances, yeah, you do have to be more stringent about your deployment timelines. The other thing is, we do know that there are very highly resourced APTs in the world. Some of them are not at all about direct financial incentive, but some of them are, including at least one nation state.
Yeah, we know which one.
And that would mean that if you got money at all, you're a target.
And this is the problem, Tim.
Yeah.
The underdog fallacy stands because there are financial reasons why you are at risk, always, if you're a business of any kind. But there's also, look, you and I are lucky enough to live in big countries where our lights are on right now, probably because the nation states that are adversaries to us are playing a very disciplined game. And that's the only thing holding us back from not having our lights on due to a cyber attack.
And tit for tat. The fact that
we could turn
their
off
lights
their lights
would
too.
probably go off too. Yes.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is, right now, this might surprise people. Let's say it. OT systems, operational technology systems that run our lighting and our water and our all sorts of utilities, really are like just absolutely paper mache, zero security.
Yeah.
So, and ironically, enterprise systems, maybe even the grocery store has better cyber systems.
True.
Okay. What I'm saying is, if the regional grocery store system across an entire country, let's pick, one right now that's being attacked by another country beside it.
Yeah.
Those guys' lights are going off. What happens if you could completely turn off the point of sale system for that entire country because everybody said, oh, we're an underdog. That particular part of the economy is an underdog.
Yeah.
Bad thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We're spoiled in North America to think nobody would ever go after that. We're so used to the discipline of the attacker. But when things go to paper mache, which will happen in the post-quantum era, there are consequences. And if you live in specific jurisdictions, you're going to feel those consequences.
Yeah. And I think an important point is the one I said before, I'll just repeat it, is if you become part of an attack fabric, I'm just making that word up, then if the fabric is valuable enough to attack, you as an individual thread still suffer.
And what you just said is, I don't think that there's a single business in the world. You could be a florist and you're still part of that fabric.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a very valid point. And if you start to imagine someone says, "Oh, goody, I can do something like knockout as a nation state level activity, or simply as a massive ransomware activity, a huge number of private businesses. If you're still one of the private businesses that suffers, you still suffer."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Tim, there it is.
There you go. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Tim.